What's up? How's it going? So I'm actually on the road right now. So I'm going to be paying attention more to the road than I am the camera. But I want you guys to know that it's really been tough to deal with the freelance life. However, if there's one thing it's teaching me is just how important it is to know what you want from life, because opportunities really don't show up for you until you have that kind of clarity. And then the other half of the opportunity showing up is that you have to be prepared for it. Um, Thank goodness I've invested enough in things and built enough of a portfolio, let's say, for use as a case study of what could potentially very well be the only reason I got the gig that I recently got, working on a set with established models and a master photographer and a clothing line that works on some of the biggest. I can't even believe I got the gig, but I think what it was more than anything was opportunity met preparation and a dash of luck, the way to get lucky is to simply stay in the game, because that's all it is. It's like, if you're present for it, then it's good. But if you're not necessarily taking the chances and sustaining the risk that is necessary to get that luck, then it's not going to happen. And I know that seems abstract, but if I were to put it into a system, it would be this. Find a way. Step one is to find a way to generate some type of income that meets the minimum requirement of what is necessary for you to live. And then a little more if you can, so that you can actually have some room to buy equipment or to use within your business, right? Because it takes money to make money, but not much money if you know how to flip it, right? So that's the first thing. The next thing after that would be for you to then consider the fact that if that is step one, then step zero has to be making sure that you minimize your expenses. Because if you don't minimize your expenses, right, like some of you guys may have 1-bedroom apartments and you're like, I need all the space. You know you really don't. It's a luxury to have a 1-bedroom apartment, especially if you live in a major city like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Orlando, Miami, even Austin. There are a lot of things to keep in mind, and you really only need a roof over your head and a place to shower and some food in your fridge with a little stove. If you don't have a kitchen, at least get a hot plate. Like that's just step zero, right? If you don't have that set up and minimizing your expenses, then you're going to be bleeding yourself out of an opportunity in terms of financial needs, right? You're going to drain your pockets simply to live, and that's not necessary. If you can just be humble for a little while, I'm starting to see that. That's how it's worked out for me. So that's step zero. Step one is to make sure that you then find a way to generate some level of that income, but also free up enough of your time that you have the flexibility to then go do other things. And we live in a world today that mostly operates online. So there are a million ways that you can position yourself to make someone's life easier in exchange for money. Trust me, it exists. All you have to do is consider what their dream would be. If this person had a dream of the dream assistants that the dream assistant, this is what that dream assistant would do. Okay, you itemize it and you bring it to them and you say, I can do this for you for set amount. I think it equates in equal value. All that I ask is that I have some sort of flexibility and that I can work remotely. And if that works, boom, you took care of step one. Step zero, step one. And then step two, of course, is to begin to document everything that you do, all the processes. Do screen shares, record the video, do screen recordings, write the lists down, and as soon as you can, pay somebody else to do half or all of your work. Why? Because the minute you do that, you're going to free up even more of your time. And hopefully, by doing so, the work that you've been wanting to do with your life does generate at least some income, so that whatever you lost in the money that you're paying out to somebody else, you can legit make out of what you're doing, and now you're doing what you love. Here is where most people want to be, and that's fine. The only thing is that's not exactly what people think they want. They're like, oh, that's the dream right there, right? Yes and no. You don't ever want to work for your passion, right? So if that's your passion, dope. You should be able to do that whether you're getting money or not. So the problem is not, so the challenge is not the problem. The opportunity and the challenge is now that you've gotten there, you have to now devise a way to hire someone to do that for you. Why? So that you can then document and do all that other stuff, right? And then hand it off to somebody else and have that money generating so that now you can take on projects that, sorry for the lighting. I'm going under an overpass. So that now you can actually take on projects that you want, whether they pay or not, because projects, especially good ones, may not always provide money. They could, but sometimes they don't, but it could lead to big money. So you have to be able to be available for those opportunities just the same. That's why it's important to delegate. And so that's kind of where like I'm starting to bridge the gap and get there. So that's about all I've been able to gather and systematize, right? So that was what I said earlier, the abstract into a system. How you get there really depends on where you are in your development. It's not necessarily a financial skill or a business skill, but an emotional skill that's going to get you through it. Because this little journey that I just detailed has been over roughly 4 years, right? So it's going to be an emotional quality that pulls you through those times when it looks like this shit just isn't going to work. So that being said, this is all contingent upon whatever it is your chief aim is, right? Whatever it is you actually want to do for a living or for your career, or as far as like what your life's work is going to be. So whether you want to be A through Z, right? Whether it's in entertainment as a speaker, a singer, a dancer, an actor, any number of things, an Olympic athlete, a boxer, a martial artist, those fall under entertainment to some degree, right? Then there's the sports side of it, and that's a little more serious and not as publicized, but it's there. You don't have to be famous, right? So when I say entertainment, it contains fame as part of the element. So there's all kinds of options for you, and you determine which of those you actually are aiming for. Most people watching this stuff, and most people in America in particular, I don't know where this is being viewed, but most people in America want to be famous, whether they want to admit it or not. Whether they get fame is a different story, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you just want to be an artist, a painter, a graphic design artist, but you only want to work on the projects you want to work on, then when you develop this infrastructure that I just shared with you, if you take that strategy out, you can have other people generating the income for you. All you gotta do is check in every now and then you can focus on the projects you want to work on. So you can let's say for example, you can be a photographer and only take on the jobs you want and outsource the rest to people who will then kick you back money. And like, it's all possible. But the goal is to be able to free up your time so that you work on the things you want to work on. Otherwise, you don't own a business, you own a job. And what I mean by that is your business, while you're working in it, will absorb all of your time, and it will be like having a job, except with less security and less benefits. So the best thing you could do, if you're really just feeling like that, is just have a good job. There's nothing wrong, and there's no shame for having a damn good job. That's just what it is. Some people just can't seem to get one, and so this is an alternative. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to how far you've developed yourself emotionally. Intellectually, yes, there's some ability that's going to be required, but you don't need the technical skill, because again, you're going to get somebody else to do that. You see what I'm saying? Keep that in mind. Peace.